Nobody would have guessed it. This seemingly normal black notebook could so easily take someone's life. Every time a name is written, it's like a carefully set trap, killing someone without a trace. A new god who wants to create a perfect world, and a genius detective who upholds justice, who will come out on top. Their battle isn't just a clash of justice and crime, but an ultimate game of belief, power, and human nature. Today, let's talk about this classic suspense film adapted from the hit manga of the same name, Death Note. The story begins with a strange encounter. A notebook called Death Note falls from the Shinigami world to the human world, and just happens to be found by Light Yagami. Strangely, it's raining heavily, but the raindrops seem to avoid the notebook. Curiosity drives Light Yagami to pick up the notebook, and when he opens it, the contents are even more outrageous. The person whose name is written will immediately die of a heart attack. At that moment, the TV is reporting on a fugitive, so he casually writes the criminal's name in the notebook. The next day, Light Yagami clearly forgot about it. But while having breakfast, he suddenly sees in the newspaper that the criminal died of a heart attack. Light Yagami immediately runs back to his room to check that the notebook indeed has this name. Realizing he killed someone with his own hands last night, the brilliant Light Yagami quickly calms down. Because this doesn't prove it's the notebook's power, it could just be a coincidence. To test if it really works as the notebook says, that just writing a name can kill. Light Yagami takes the notebook and finds a thug who once bullied him. With the thug's provocation in his eyes, he writes down the thug's name. As the final stroke is written, the thug collapses in pain and soon stops breathing completely. Light Yagami stares wide-eyed at what's happening in front of him, unable to believe the notebook really has such power. Shaken, he runs back home, suddenly feels a cold presence approaching from behind. He turns around and sees the Shinigami Ryuk staring at him. Light Yagami is terrified. Does using the Death Note come with a price? Ryuk says Light Yagami is now the new owner of the Death Note, so he doesn't need to pay any price. Once he confirms his life is safe, Light Yagami becomes bold. He reaches out to touch Ryuk and asks if others can see Shinigami. Ryuk replies, only those who have touched the Death Note can see Shinigami. Upon hearing this, Light Yagami finally relaxes. With his life safe and no cost to worry about, Light Yagami's urge to punish evil and uphold justice is fully ignited, because his dissatisfaction with the world has long been building. And as a top law student, he knows how powerless and corrupt the justice system is. And those criminals who should be punished often exploit loopholes in the law. Now he has the power to judge that the law cannot match. From that day on, Light Yagami writes the names of criminals in the notebook every day. He decides to create a world without criminals, and then become the god of this new world. In a short time, people around the world begin dying mysteriously in the same way. There are corrupt politicians who know the law, fugitives on the run, and criminals who bought their way out of punishment. All of them die of heart attacks. Although punishing criminals feels satisfying to Light Yagami, the strange phenomenon quickly catches public attention. Some people think this is an act of justice, and supporters give this justice bringer a name, Savior Kira. Others think this is killing innocents because even though some committed crimes, their guilt doesn't deserve death. They believe Kira shouldn't so easily take away lives. Light Yagami's father is the police chief, so he can easily get information about criminals. While he's immersed in the thrill of punishing criminals, the police also take notice of this strange phenomenon. To catch Kira, the police brought in the greatest genius detective L to solve the case. Lear had assisted the police in solving many major cases, but he always uses a false name, never shows his face, and even uses a voice changer when speaking. Lucy is extremely arrogant, and before the police can even speak, he says he has a way to catch Kira. Then he goes live on TV and openly provokes Kira. He says Kira is not some savior, he's just a childish murderer. These words make Light Yagami furious, and he immediately writes L's name in the Death Note. As the final stroke is written, the man on TV starts convulsing and finally dies in front of everyone. Seeing this, Light Yagami shows a wild, crazed smile. However, what Light Yagami doesn't know is that this is just a trap set by L. The person Light Yagami killed was a death row convict, and the real L never appeared. The live broadcast is supposedly global, but in reality it was aired at different times in different regions. During the time Light Yagami kills, only the Kanto region of Japan is broadcasting the video. He used a death row convict as a substitute, and even wrote the name on TV, which reveals that Kira needs certain conditions to kill. You have to admit Laura is truly a genius detective, not just for his intelligence, but also for his extreme psychological tactics. After this series of moves, he was able to create a psychological profile of Kira. Young and arrogant, craving recognition, also conceited and unable to tolerate challenges. Moreover, L investigated the times when criminals died. He found that most deaths occur between 5 p.m. and 2 a.m. on weekdays, while weekend deaths are more scattered. From this, Lo deduced that Kira is likely a college student. He also noticed that criminals whose names and photos were not published remained unharmed. Thus, it seems Kira's condition for killing is having the name and face. This time, it seems L has the upper hand, but Light Yagami won't sit idly by. He uses his advantage of being the son of the police chief to access the police system and learns L's deductions. But Light Yagami doesn't feel threatened, because he already has a plan to counter it. That plan is to use the Death Note's rules to write down each criminal's time and method of death in advance. This way he can go to school while killing. The police quickly notice that now a criminal dies every hour. Just when everyone thinks L's deduction is wrong, he makes a new discovery. He deduced yesterday that the other is a student, and today the killing pattern changes. Kira can not only control the time of death, but also knows the police's information perfectly, so Kira must be among them. And the deliberate leak of Kira's connection to the police is all part of Light Yagami's plan to sow suspicion within the bureau. The meticulous L has to investigate all officers present and their families, leaving him stretched thin. At this time, Light Yagami is walking with Ryuk. He tosses an apple behind him, but Ryuk fails to catch it. Realizing something's wrong, Light Yagami immediately takes out his phone and finds that someone is indeed following him. Light Yagami wants to eliminate them, but since he doesn't know their name, he quietly returns home. If you enjoyed my commentary, please like and follow. See you next time.